Ready? Be ready. Start. In view of the observation made, it is amply clear that even though the accused had tortured and harassed the deceased, because of which she was constantly running away from her matrimonial home, and has also filed a number of complaints against the accused, the same cannot be said to be the reason for her death in the light of the fact and circumstances of the present case and the dying declaration made by her. The learned counsel for the appellants has placed reliance upon the decision of this court reported in case of Ramesh Kumar versus State of Chhattisgarh 2014, Volume 9 SCC 491, wherein it is held that Sections 49A and 306 IPC are independent and constitute different offences. Merely because an accused has been liable to be punished under Section 498 IPC, it does not follow on the same evidence he must also and necessarily be held guilty of having abetted of commission of suicide by the woman concerned under Section 306 IPC. Therefore, the conviction and sentence for offence punishable under Section 306 read with Section 114 of the IPC of the present appellants is contrary to the legal evidence on record, particularly the dying declaration of the deceased and the conduct of the accused who took the deceased to the hospital. This fact has been grossly ignored by the courts below while convicting and sentencing the appellants for the aforesaid offences. Therefore, the conviction and sentence for the aforesaid offence is erroneous and accordingly it is liable to be set aside. After evaluation of evidence on record and concurrent finding of facts recorded by the trial court and the appellate court, it is appellants were convicted for the offences punishable under Section 498A and 306 read with Section 114 of the IPC. The accused were acquitted for the offences punishable under Section 304B read with Section 114 of the IPC and Section 4 of the Dowry Prohibition Act 1967, as they did not find any evidence on record to bring home the guilt of appellants for the offences punishable under Section 306, as there is no cogent evidence in this regard in the findings of the fact. Therefore, the conviction and sentence for the offence punishable under Section 498A of IPC with regard to cruelty is held to be proved by the courts below. The same is accepted by us and they are required to be convicted and sentenced for the offence punishable under Section 498A IPC. The conviction and sentence passed by the High Court for the offence punishable under Section 306 read with Section 114 of IPC is liable to be set aside, and accordingly we set aside the same. Since we have upheld the conviction for the offence punishable under Section 498A IPC, it is to be carefully examined by us, taking into consideration the facts and circumstances of the case as to what sentence is required to be imposed upon the appellants. New para. In the state of MP and others etc. versus Neelam Singh and other etc. 2009 9 SCC 999, the court observed that it is well settled that power of the High Court to issue an appropriate writ under Article 226 of the Constitution is discretionary. It has been further stated therein that if there is inordinate delay on the part of the petitioner in filing petition and such delay is not satisfactorily explained, the High Court may decline to intervene and grant relief in the exercise of its writ jurisdiction. Emphasis was laid on the principle of delay and laches, stating that resort to the extraordinary remedy under the writ jurisdiction at a belated stage is likely to cause confusion and public inconvenience and bring in injustice. Full stop. Thus, the doctrine of delay and laches should not be lightly brushed aside. A writ court is required to weigh the explanation offered and the acceptability of the same. The court should bear in mind that it is exercising power of the extraordinary and equitable jurisdiction. As a constitutional court, it has a duty to protect the rights of the citizen, but simultaneously it is to keep itself alive to the primary people that when an aggrieved person without adequate reason approaches the court at his own leisure or pleasure, the court would be under legal obligation to scrutinize whether the lease at a belated stage should be entertained or not. Be it noted, delay comes in the way of equity. In certain circumstances, delay and laches may not be fatal, but in most circumstances, inordinate delay would only invite disaster for the litigant who knocks at the door of the court. Delay reflects inactivity and inaction on the part of a litigant who has forgotten the basic norms. In the case at hand, though there has been 4 years delay in approaching the court, yet the writ court choose not to address the same, it is the duty of the court to scrutinize whether such enormous delay is to be ignored without any justification. That apart, in the present case, such belated approach gains more significance as the respondent employs, being absolutely carelessly to his duty, has remained unauthorized, absent on the pretext of some kind of ill health. We repeat at the cost of repetition that remaining inconsequently oblivious to such delay does not foster the cause of justice. Such delay may impact on other ripened rights and may unnecessarily drag other into litigation. New para. In our considered opinion, such delay does not deserve any indulgence, and on the said ground alone, the writ court should have thrown the petition overboard at a very threshold. Having dealt with the doctrine of delay and laches, we shall presently proceed to deal with the doctrine of proportionality, which has been taken recourse to by the High Court, regard being had to the obtaining factual metrics. We think it's appropriate to refer to some of the authorities which have been placed reliance upon by the High Court. Full stop. New para. We shall now examine the decision in Roop Singh Supra, on which practically the whole of the argument on behalf of the claimants were rested. On examining the facts, it is found that was a case which related to a claim by a third party. In claims by a third party, there cannot be much doubt that once the liability of the owner is found, the insurance company is liable to indemnify the owner to any defense that may be available to it under section 149 within bracket of the Act. In case whereby the liability is satisfied by the insurance company, for the first instance, it may have recourse to the owner in respect of a claim available in that behalf. It may have recourse to the owner in respect of a claim available on that behalf. full stop. Roop Singh Supra was a case where the insurance company raised a defense that the owner has permitted the vehicle to be driven by a driver who really had no license and the driving license produced by him was a fake one. Their lordship discussed the position and held ultimately that a defense under section 149 within bracket 2 of the act was available to an answer when a claim is filed either under section 163A or under section 166 of the act. Full stop. Thank you.